welcome back to Hope Saving Let's Talk. It has been a long time since I've been on here. But, that's life for you. I had actually, this summer, I had quite a bit planned. It was supposed to be full of photography bookings and podcast bookings and family events and all that kind of good stuff. And nothing has worked out how I planned it. But then I have to remind myself too that it ain't my plan, it's God's plan. And even though we have our own plans and they seem to be working, it was not truly meant to be, it's not going to actually be. And I've actually had I think I had on my photography business, I think I had maybe 15 people, like potential clients, that were in the process of booking my services, and then just disappeared or canceled or whatever the case may be. And then as for the podcast portion, the podcast side of my business, just trying to get my environment set up to where I can professionally hold podcast interviews. Hasn't really gone as planned either. The backstory to that is, the podcast studio, photography studio, whatever, they're at my home. And obviously, I'm not the only one here. My husband, kids are here too. So we're very lived in. So, sometimes, and two, like my studio, it isn't just mine. It also doubles as my husband's workshop area and whatever else. So it's a combination of things. So keeping it nice and tidy and clean and pretty and organized as I need it to in order to have things go down the way I need it to doesn't always happen, but that's life. Also, so there's certain things that I needed to have happen in order for me to have people come in here and do the interviews, stuff like that. And unfortunately, those steps weren't able to be taken. So, this summer was supposed to be full of photography bookings, whether it's sessions or events, weddings, whatever, and podcast interviews, and nothing happened. It is a real bummer because obviously, financial reasons, you need to have an income in order to run your businesses. So, here I am questioning God, really, praying to Him every single day and every single night. I'm just asking Him, why this is happening to us and to me. Because this business isn't just a regular 9-to-5 business for me. Those who have heard me speak about my business and whatnot, y'all know that this is a spiritual journey for me. It is a business, yes, but it's a spiritual journey. Obviously, guided by God and dedicated to my late brother Eric. So when business deals don't work out, I'm confused and I'm hurt and I'm heartbroken and I'm confused and just not okay with it. I felt like, let down. And not to really bad mouth or trash or whatever the people who have not fulfilled, have not completed the contracts and whatnot, fully hired me. There's a reason that it didn't work out with them. And the only thing I can think of, the reason I'm going through all this is just because God is just trying to teach me patience and to continue to stay strong in my faith. And it's crazy because like a couple months ago, I guess it was, I read this book in the Bible, this chapter about Job or Job. I don't know how to pronounce this dude's name. I don't know if it's Job. It's spelled J-O-B, so I'm assuming it's Job, but I've heard other people pronounce this Job. But anyway, this dude in the Bible, he was tested by God. Satan went to God. It was like, hey, this guy, cherishes you, and he's extremely wealthy. He has all of his dreams are coming true. He's got everything he needs, the car, all this stuff. Like his life is wonderful and beautiful and blessed and all that kind of rich and all that kind of stuff. The devil came up to God. It was like, hey, he's like, take all this stuff away and see how he's still, is faithful to you and praises you and stuff like that. So God slowly took all stuff away, and he questioned God obviously, but he was still faithful to all kind of stuff. And it's crazy to me because like I literally feel like this dude, like, you know, but it just reminds me to kind of go back to my scripture and stuff that I read, and it gives me an odd peace, I guess. You know, but it also is a reminder too that not every job that comes to you is for you, which is so weird. I don't understand it, because you would think that God would set your life up to where, you know, whatever jobs come your way, what opportunities come your way, whatever open doors come your way, whatever guidance comes your way is supposed to be for you. You're supposed to take it and go. It's not the case. And this summer has proven that over and over and over again, because like I said, I've actually had, I think, like 15 potential clients, you know, that, you know, they've all come to me. Some of them I knew, some of them just found me online or word of mouth or whatever, and came to me, and they wanted me to do, you know, weddings or sessions or events or whatever it is that they need me to do. And, you know, we got to talking about stuff, and, you know, I gave them my price, they accepted my price, and then they just disappeared. They ghosted me, you know, and one person, you know, it was a wedding I was supposed to do. You know, the other half of the wedding, you know, hired another photographer and kind of overstepped what she was doing with me, and I lost that job because of that. So that's obviously not her fault. Still kind of hurt them because that was a big job. But, you know, and as I'm, you know, losing these jobs, or they're ghosting me, or they're, you know, not finishing their contract, or whatever the case may be, you know, and again, this is not to trash anybody. I'm not disrespecting anybody. I'm not trashing anybody. I'm not, nothing negative. I'm just simply saying that this is my journey, and, you know, and it's just reminding me to stay strong in my faith, and that to remind me that, you know, not all the jobs and opportunities and open doors and guidances are actually for me. You know, that, you know, and it's just, you know, testimonial that you just have to learn to always be patient, and just stay strong in your faith. You know, and if it was truly meant for me, it would truly have been for me, and I would have actually had these jobs completed. You know, same thing on my podcast. You know, I had all these interviews planned, you know, nothing was officially booked and contracted, but I had all this, you know, talking and stuff like that to get, you know, people in here, you know, that I think very highly of, and all that kind of stuff. For other photographers, videographers, you know, queens, you know, all kinds of sorts of people to come in here and just have conversations with me and interview them, stuff like that, get their businesses out there, and just have some one-on-one time with them, you know, highlight their businesses and their journeys, all that kind of stuff. And unfortunately, you know, there's a couple steps that would have connected me to those clients to actually get the interviews and stuff done. Unfortunately, those steps were never able to be completed. Therefore, the interviews weren't able to be done. You know, which sucks. But again, you know, it's just one of those things where maybe now is not the time that I was actually supposed to be doing these interviews. I have no idea. But the week ago, it's just a huge testimonial and a huge reminder that just because, you know, things come your way, they may not truly be for you. And it's supposed to teach you patience. And honestly, this is kind of why, you know, and don't hate me for saying this, because again, this is just me talking, my beliefs, my feelings, you know, my emotions and whatnot. But these are the reasons I think, you know, because I've actually spoken to people about this, but it's these reasons that I'm going through, like these heartbreaks and the trials and tribulations, all kind of stuff. It's for these reasons why, you know, people don't believe in God, why we're atheists. And the only reason I know that is because I have friends who are atheists, and I've asked them why they don't believe in God. And these are the reasons why. They're like, well, you know, your God is so good, you know, then, you know, why doesn't he just bless you with this? Why doesn't he bless you with that? Why is he making you struggle? Why is he causing you pain and heartache and depression and all that kind of stuff? And I get it. I totally get it. But, you know, at the same, and so I understand where they're coming from. Because I question it too. I don't question that there's a God. I know that there's a God. I 100,000 gazillion% believe in God and Jesus and all the Holy Spirit stuff. I totally believe in all that stuff. For reasons, you know, I mean, it's facts, but, you know, I'm just saying, like, I can relate to why, you know, atheists feel the way they do, and there's nothing wrong with it whatsoever. It's what they believe, it's perfectly fine, But I get it though. Because I too, this summer has been brutal for us. And it's just like, it's not, I haven't had just my struggle, but my husband has his struggles too. For those of you who don't know, he has a crabby business, and, he's got his trials and tribulations as well with stuff. I don't really have permission to talk about his trials and tribulations or whatever else, so I gotta have his permission to talk about his story, or maybe I'll get him on the podcast one day and he'll talk about his own story. But there we go. I know I'm not alone in this. My husband is struggling as well. Even our kids are struggling. It's a it's a family struggle. But either way you go, it's just one of those things where, this summer, like all other summers, I think they've just been a huge reminder and test to be patient and to stay strong in my faith, and to remind ourselves that not everything that comes our way is actually for us. I actually do have one other story that is a perfect example of, what comes our way might not always be for us. But I'm trying to finalize, or I guess close out, that situation before I go and talk about it. Because it's still open, and I'm still hoping that the situation will work out in the end, and I'll be able to complete that chapter. I know none of that makes sense to anybody else. Not really meant to be, but I'm just simply saying I have another testimony, but I have to have this testimony chapter closed before I can talk about it. But anyhow, so long story short, or short story long, however you want to put it, it is life is kind of crazy and crappy and all that kind of good stuff. But this is just a reminder that life is full of crap, but it's also full of tremendous and beautiful blessings, and that's what we need to focus on. I've had lots of storms this summer, literal and spiritual. And it sucks because I would have had about like 20 or 30 jobs this summer that would have been not only great for me being able to get back out there and bond with my clients and get their moments captured, all that kind of stuff, and just live out my happiness with that, but it would also help us out hugely financially. So without all that, it's been a really rough summer. Anyway, I gotta get off here because my calendar is blowing up with the meeting I'm supposed to be on in about 10 minutes. So I gotta get off here and hop on to another Zoom meeting. So thanks for listening to my blabbing on this episode. But the whole point of this episode was just to remain strong in your faith, and to be patient with whatever comes your way. Just a gentle reminder, or even a harsh reminder, reality reminder, whatever you want to say, that just because opportunities come your way, they're not always meant for you. I'm kind of, it's confusing, I know, at least for me, as to why God, or why life will send you these opportunities and then they not work out, because it's painful, especially when you're depending on these opportunities to help you out financially. Because obviously, anybody who runs a business knows you can't run a business if you have no income to support that business, because businesses are expensive. But either way, I gotta get off here. But yeah, it's just another reminder to just be patient with life and with God. Stay faithful to God. Stay strong in your faith. And unfortunately, not every opportunity that comes our way is actually for us. But what is meant to you, what is meant for you, will 100% be for you. So yeah, thanks for tuning in. Hopefully I didn't bore you, and I hope to see you in my next episode. Other than that, thanks for tuning in to Hope 70 Let's Talk. Love y'all. God bless.